John here at 2-Drop Tribal MTG, and today we're going to be doing a mid-range deck in one of my favorite Magic the Gathering formats. This is Pauper Naya Zoo. So Pauper is a commons only Magic format, which means that effectively all the cards have the little black symbol in the bottom right hand corner of the frame. They are in general at a lower power level than what you'd see in Modern or Legacy, but you can still see some really cool things with the Pauper Legal card set. And what we're going to do today is try and outvalue our opponents with bigger creatures than we should have at that point of time on the curve, while still drawing cards, playing removal, and maintaining a tempo positive game plan. So this deck is centered around the card Wild. I think there's a little bit of a debate on how this name is pronounced. It's either Nacatl or Nacatl. I'm going to say Nacatl for most of this video. So Wild Nacatl is a 1/1 that gets 1/1 for as long as you control a mountain and 1/1 for as long as you control plains. So if you are able to cast this card using a forest and you also control a mountain and a plains, this comes down as a 1 mana 3/3, which is very far above rate for most of the other creatures in Pauper. The closest thing to it is Delver of Secrets, which has a couple more hoops you need to jump through than just control lands that you're probably playing in your deck anyways. Our other premium 1 mana threat is Curdape. Curdape is 1 red mana for a 1/1 that gets +1/+2 as long as you control a forest. So if you cast Curdape off of a dual forest mountain like Highland Forest, then just this 1 land plus Curdape gives you the 2/3 to trigger it, which is fairly low investment for having a creature that can block 2/2s all day. A great creature to play against a deck like Stompy. So we're also running Burning Tree Emissary, which is just some turbo mana acceleration. It's a 2/2 that when it enters the battlefield, it adds 2 mana of red and green, which we can use to either play Curdapes and Nacatls, or Winding Ways, or Lightning Bolts. Or we can use it to power out Sorrowless Packmate, which is one of our other premium threats. This is a 3/3 that draws a card when it enters the battlefield, but you can foretell it. So pay 2 mana on one turn, and then pay 2 mana on a later turn to cast the creature. And then we're also running 2 Underworld Ragehound just to give us some mileage against any sort of deck that is just removal tribal. Every single spell they have kills one of our creatures. We can drop Underworld Ragehound and recur from the graveyard over and over again to close out the game. We're also running 2 Crimson Fleet Commodores just to give ourselves the Monarch, gain a little card advantage. It's also a tramply 5/2, so it attacks quite well. And 3 Hooting Mandrills as our big top-end threat, a 4/4 with Delve and Trample. So we can power to Hooting Mandrills early using Valorant, using Land Grant, which we're using in place of one of the lands in this deck to make sure we can always fetch the right land for Nacatl and Curdape. And Winding Way also gets the Hooting Mandrills down a turn early. And then to round out the main deck, we're running our premium red removal spells. We're running 4 Lightning Bolts and 4 Skreds, just like Faeries would, and 2 Rancor. So I've seen lists running more Rancor than 2, and I think that's incorrect. What I really want to do is be dropping multiple threats in a single turn, and then Rancoring one of them to get in for damage. If you Rancor the same creature multiple times, you open yourself for the potential of a blowout if the creature gets removed. And as you see, we're not really running any mainboard protection. We are just all threats and card advantage and turning sideways for the win. So for our sideboard package, we have 2 Fairy Macabres as Grave Hate that can be hit off of Winding Way, and 2 Gorilla Shamans as Artifact Hate that once again can be hit off of Winding Way or Lead the Stampede. 2 Fiery Cannonades. These are excellent in this deck. The only cards that we have that are soft to a Cannonade are Burning Tree Emissary and Underworld Ragehound, and we can recur Underworld Ragehound. And Burning Tree Emissary is mostly there just to turbo out our fast early turns. So Fiery Cannonade is excellent in this deck. I'm only running 2, and they're both in the sideboard because I think in most matchups, Lightning Bolt and Skred are really just going to get us where we need to go. And if we're playing against Elves or similar go-wide type strategy, that's when the Cannonades would come in. Flaring Pain, just to have a little bit of game against Tron and the Fog decks of the format, which otherwise our creature combat deck would have trouble with closing the game out on. 3 Pyroblasts, just for some premium blue hate. Blue is still, I think, the premier color of the Pauper format. 2 Reverent Silence. So I have these in place of Serenity as our destroy all enchantments effects. So this type of effect is absolutely necessary against Mono White Heroic or Bogles. I don't think the 6 life is relevant, and I think the 3 mana versus 0 mana is very relevant. I'd rather have the free spell, I think, and just deal with the opponent's life gain than have to try and get to 3 plus green at the right time. Because I can cast this as early as turn 2, whereas the other spell I'd have to wait until a later turn. And then to round out the sideboard, we have 2 Weather the Storm, just to survive against burn. And this is the deck. This is Zoo Midrange. Hope you like it. Let's hop into some leagues. And we found our first opponent. Mash Maltovsky. And it's an Ixalan tag. Interesting. So this hand's a little slow. I do like being able to turn 2 Curd Ape, turn 3 Burning Tree Emissary into Ragehound or Skred. I think even though this is a little slow for what our deck wants, I'm going to keep this. You have to remember that we're more of a mid-range deck than an aggro deck. We're not trying to kill them in the first 2 turns. We're trying to outvalue them over time. I think here I'm going to lead on Highland Forest, since they haven't presented a threat yet. And this way I can turn 2 Emissary into Ragehound. Forgotten Cave, interesting. Okay, we're playing against Burn. Burn, the true test of any deck. I'll be able to Skred away as Thermo Alchemist next turn, which gives me some hope. And here I really just want to be deploying threats as fast as possible. Suspends Riftbolt, okay. And here I like just Curd Ape and Skred. And I'm just going to do it now. I don't really want to wait for him to untap one of his alchemists and get off some additional damage from it. If you haven't played against Burn, these alchemists can absolutely dump damage onto the board. So the good news is we already know what we're sideboarding. We're going to cut some of the high curve cards like Crimson Fleet Commodore and bring in our Weather the Storms. Like the Skred. I'm going to Winding Way, Naming Creature, and Skred. Okay, that's a good sign. That's what I like to see. So next turn we get to Mandrills, Curd Ape, Wild Nacatl. There's the untap. So he has to have specifically Fire Blast in his hand for us to be dead here. Not Fire Blast. There's the Fire Blast. Okay, and we know already that we want to just cut these Commodores for Weather the Storm. I don't think Reverent Silence can help here. All right, let's run it back. I do not have the best record in the burn matchup. A single Weather the Storm can absolutely make or break their deck, though. Or an awkward draw. Burn doesn't have any filtering, so sometimes they get hands that are just one land, a fistful of bolts, but their clock is still relatively slow because they can only cast one bolt effect per turn. Or if they draw 3 or 4 Fire Blasts, I've seen Burn players sacrifice all of their lands and then be unable to close out the game. I like this. We definitely want a faster hand here. So I can Curd Ape into turn 1 Curd Ape, turn 2 bolts their threat. If they don't play a threat, I can Winding Way enemy creature, or I can suspend a Packmate. I like suspending the Packmate a little better. Okay, straight upstairs. I'm sorry, foretell, not suspend. Really similar mechanics. Rest in peace, Curd Ape. Okay, found another bolt. I would like to see a Weather the Storm time now. I don't know how aggressively I should have mulliganed for it. If you have 4 cards in hand and to Weather the Storm, you're still probably losing to Burn. And fair enough. Let's just go straight into round 2. Burn struggles against decks that have lots of natural life gain. Or decks that can present a similarly fast clock to it. But yeah, if he had a 2 Fire Blast hand and we didn't, have a Weather the Storm, I think our odds are good. I think the note to self for the future is mulligan aggressively until you find Weather the Storm in the Burn matchup when you're playing Zoo. On the play, turn 2 through Nacatl. I like it. There's an argument for playing Meadow than playing the Forest and the Nacatl the next turn, and it's a 3/3 already, which dodges some removal. But the most relevant removal in the format hits it whether it's a 1/1 or a 3/3. Getting with that big cat. Not sure why opponent didn't just taking the turn. Could be Brainstorm. Nailed it. I would assume this means he's digging for a land or a threat. Otherwise, he would have just held the Brainstorm and taken his turn. Because even when he digs 3 deep, he's still taking a card and putting it back on top that he isn't going to be able to get rid of. Unless he cycles it away before his upkeep. Or before his draw step. Neat little filtering play from our opponent there. I'm going to try and play Packmate next turn. So this turn we're getting down Rage Hound and turning him sideways. Another Brainstorm, interesting. Fetches blue, so he's mono blue Delver with Brainstorm and Ash Barrens, it looks like. I don't see why else he would have Evolving Wilds for another island. Ooh, this is a good choice. Do I Commodore or do I Packmate? I like the Commodore play here. I don't see him having the ability to take back Monarch. Okay. Trades aggro with Underworld Ragehound. That's fine by us. Okay, so he is blue-black Delver. He must have already had the Swamp in hand. Bigger Mangler. Good thing we have exactly the right medicine for a bigger Mangler. It is worth noting that he may be holding up a counterspell. Which either way doesn't really matter for us because we can trade off on the Commodore or we can bolt it after the Nacatl swings. And if we have enough things die, we can probably Hooting Mandrills this turn. So I think the play here is just to Skred the Gurmagingler, have him tap out for it, and then bolt it if he blocks the Nacatl. So let's do that. And I can foretell the Packmate. Spell Stutter with Gurmanglers. I'm not familiar with this game plan. So now instead I can bolt the Spell Stutter, and he'll control 0 fairies when the Spell Stutter's counter goes on the stack. And it's looking like we have a dead opponent here. Well, so I'm glad I'm drawing cards off the Commodore, but Monarch is looking a lot worse with all their fairies. Definitely like the Pyroblasts here. Iffy on the Cannonades. I think our best chance in this particular matchup is just to present a board that they can't answer at blistering fast speed. Because even though they have board wipes, the board wipes hit X1s, and we aren't running X1s. The only thing that can really blow up is Ragehound, who I do think stays in the deck. What will they sideboard in? Some red card hate? Yeah, so I think it's safe to assume they're bringing in Hydroblast and Edict effects. I'm starting to talk myself into wanting these cannonades. I think I'm going to bring them in. Although I don't know what to cut. I think we're up a game, so we have the benefit of the doubt, so I think I'm just going to run it like this. And we'll decide in game 2 if we want the cannonades or not. No lands. Just a forest. Keepable hand. Don't like being this far down on cards in this matchup, though. We might be getting eviscerated by a Spellsetter's Bright here. So I think we're in the same keep them under pressure game plan. I went to Burning Tree Emissary into Ragehound, and then if I don't hit that third land, I'm going to Winding Way. He could just counterspell this, which I don't think sets us back too much. Okay. Edict. Yep. Okay, that's about the play pattern we expected. So I'm going to Winding Way naming land here. I'm mostly just trying to fill the graveyard for these Hooting Mandrills. Okay, I hit a Burning Tree Emissary, end of pack, a little awkward. No huge impacts to our game plan. And now we get Mandrills next turn. Mandrills with Pyroblast backup, I should say. Want to leave the Ragehound. And if he doesn't blast this, we're going to lead the Stampede. Okay. So hopefully that means he's going to have some difficulty answering this. He is almost at Gurmag Angler mana. We really need this lead the Stampede to resolve, so I'm hoping he taps out to kill my thing here. I don't like our position if this doesn't resolve and we have one card in hand, which may very well be a land. Okay, that's Gurmag Angler. Yeah. Huh. Well, so shields are down, so I'm definitely going to lead the Stampede. Leave a Pylon Forest, which can cast either of our 1-drop threats. And that was a pretty good hit. I don't know if the answer was to swing there and try and Skred it in response. I'd rather use just the one spell with another Snowland on board. Ooh, Valley ran it. Interesting. So this is uncounterable, so I can definitely get that 5th land. Puts another card in graveyard. I think what I want to do is lead off on Burning Tree Emissary here. And then use the Burning Tree Emissary mana to cycle. Oh. And just get a basic forest. And then Foretell Packmate. And I'm actually just going to leave up this Skred. Love to see that. Let's see if he's got the Dispel. Nope. A little bit of an awkward play from our opponent. I wonder why he flashed in that Spell Stutter like that. Maybe he's concerned about establishing a board presence. Oh, Ninja. I did not expect Ninja. He's almost definitely not running Defile. Packmate coming out of hibernation. We can cast Hooting Mandrills for 2 and still leave Ragehound in yard. Yeah, this is looking like a gas turn. I kind of want a Winding Way. See if we hit anything that we like better than Hooting Mandrills. Kind of doubt it, but a Wild Nacatl and a Curd Ape here would be awesome. We're definitely naming creature at this point. No creatures, all lands. So the good news is, no, I'm not drawing those 4 lands. And Mandrills is only costing 1, and I get Ragehound next turn. And the bad news is, we didn't hit any cards that we want. Feels good having 2 Hooting Mandrills in play. Don't let how many cards opponent has. Why is he just passing turn with 5 cards in hand, not hitting a land drop? What could it be? He could have cantrips. Fistful of Removal. I bet he brought in board wipes, which is pretty awkward against us. Don't love to see the land there. Pyroblast. Another Spell Stutter. Wow. Okay. Well, we are fresh out of cards in hand, so that is clearly resolving. Weird flex, but okay. So that grows his board a lot, but I still think we're in a great position here. I am perfectly happy for you to snuff out my Mandrills. Interesting. Double block was a bold move. He must have something that's absolute gas in hand. Another Ninja? Okay, that makes sense. I'm not hiding a bolt for that Ninja. One blocker, 3 cards in hand. Safe to assume he's got some amount of removal. Like the Pyroblast. So at absolute worst, we can hit this ninja. Is Rage Hound exile 3 cards? Okay, so we can also exile Rage Hound this turn. With Pyroblast backup. I'm not sure what this gains him. But I can just kill it on the board. Oh, I guess that answer is a turn. That is not how you want to play your Spell Stutter Sprites. So we absolutely have this guy on the back foot. And let's see if you can handle a Rage Hound and a Hooting Mandrills. Gurmag Angler doesn't do it. He has to play 2 creatures this turn. Or 1 creature with counterspell backup. Two life. I'm inclined to just take this. He has to murder both of our threats. And he's still just dead to Lightning Bolt off the top. Yeah, I don't like him having another card, but the upside of us having 2 creatures on board and him having none is pretty high. Yep, that's the game. Feels good winning a creature-heavy matchup after that first game against Burn. If you have experience beating Burn, please leave a comment in the comment section below. I would love to see what people have found consistently wins. It seems to me like even when I bring in sideboard cards specifically for Burn, I either don't draw them or I draw them and they don't do enough. Alternatively, if you're a Burn player, get excited if you ever see me queue up across from you because you are probably winning that match. So where this Zulist comes from, obviously I brewed it when Kaldheim started coming out, and we saw the spoilers for the new Snow Duels. But I also took it through a local game store league a couple weeks ago where it really overperformed, I thought. Took it to a 4-0 finish against a number of other meta decks. I think I played Elves in the finals. Little awkward. I do like this hand. I think I'm going to shift the... Oh, I don't have to shift anything. I'm so used to being on the draw with this deck from winning game 1. And we are playing Burn again. I think our only play in game 1 is just to race him. And I think we're going to lose that race 9 times out of 10. This is one of the more dirtily plays, so I'm excited to see it. While we will eventually die to Curse the Pierced Heart, we are not dying immediately. Surprised to see 2 Burn players. There must be an absolute oversaturation of Burn players in these leagues. It's true that if you have like 2 hours to play games, you're probably going to be able to get through your entire MTGO league playing Burn. I think I just want to land grant now. Opponent looking at this card saying, what the heck? Arctic Tree Line. So this will turn on our Nacatls into full 3/3s. Ooh. You saw my bolt, so this is an interesting play. Okay, I'm not getting down Kurdape and Bolt this turn. I think I'd rather Bolt their blocker. Lose out on a little bit of mana efficiency, but get in for 6. If every league is going to be like this, I might need to bring in more sideboard cards against burn. I half expected a third Curse of the Pierce start. I think I want a Winding Way Naming Creature and slam the Kurdape. Or the Hooting Mandrills, depending on what we hit. Mandrills it is. Oh, the Rancor would have been nice. One card in hand. I don't think we're just dead next turn. We do have functionally 11 life. How can you do 11 damage with 2 cards? Okay, Needle drop something. Oh, this is going to be close. If it goes to our turn, we win. Please no Fire Blast. If that last card in his hand is Fire Blast, he is just so insanely lucky. It's not his Chain Lightning. And we'll die to Curse the Pierce start. Wow, that was a close game. So despite... I think we were on the draw, not on the play. Yeah, so despite being on the draw against Burn, despite having those Curse of the Pierce Hearts in play that whole game, we were absolutely going to win the next turn. So what do I not like here? Obviously, so much of this matchup is just racing our opponent. I think we leave in the creature removal. I really think we just want to have Weather the Storm in either our opening hand or our second opening hand. You know, I think there's an argument for cutting Packmates instead of Commodores. Because if we're in more of a stalemate game, Commodore with 5/2 and Trample is certainly getting in for damage, whereas Packmate might not. Alright, let's run it like this. And let's see Weather the Storm. Don't think so. This would be a great hand if we weren't playing Burn, but we're playing Burn. And this is a much more awkward hand, but I see a Weather the Storm, so I'm going to keep it. And Valley Rain, it does get our final land for turning on Nacatl. I think I'm getting rid of Hooting Mandrills here, because we don't have a means to power it out early, so this could be dead in hand. And we're here to play Cat Warriors on turn 1. Riftbolt, got it. So this just may be our Weather the Storm turn. So we're definitely getting at least one spell cast, up to 3. There's 1. Hits his land drop. There's 2. So if we Weather the Storm now, we're getting 6. I think we can do better than that against Burn. And I'm going to go ahead and get that Alpine Meadow. Another Skred, a little awkward. And let's see 3 spells out of you, opponent. So we do have a lot of pressure on board, which I'm a fan of. We're dealing more damage than he is faster at the current moment if he does nothing. So he can't just sit behind his curses. Riftbolt. Oh, please do nothing. Nice. Okay, so he's going to try and win next turn, so our Weather the Storm is looking fantastic. I wonder if he's just going to bolt these Nacatls. Doesn't look like it. Okay, then we know we're seeing 1 spell. Great. This is probably one of the worst spells in the burn deck. Just 1 damage to any target. Okay, there's the Riftbolt coming off suspend. So that's 3. They always send it upstairs. 1 spell. He's dead on board, so he has to do something. I'm expecting bolt. First bolt. I'm just going to take it. And then here's the Weather the Storm. Okay, got the scoop. What a fast game. So it looks like mulligan for Weather the Storm and opponent keeps slower hands was in fact the answer. Edge keepable. I'm gonna mulligan this. No lands. Don't want to shift it again. But I don't think we're winning this game. Let's go ahead and bottom lead the Stampede and Skred. Hope to draw a land or something that finds a land. Burn's one of the rare decks that almost wants to lose the second game. Give me that good land. That's not a land. This poor opponent has had 2 wild Nacatls staring him down every single game. Poor burn playing opponent. What am I saying? He just blocks. We need to get this Thermal Alchemist off the board. Keldon Marauder's nice. You don't see that too often anymore. Or maybe I just don't see it because I don't get to game 2. I think what I want to do is Winding Way for land. Definitely looking like an uphill battle here. Nowhere in my mind is mulliganing to 3 the right answer, though. If I was a betting man, I'd say we're probably dead on upkeep. Yeah, it's not looking good. Yeah, with the 2 burn games that we've seen, I mean, 2 out of 3 games have been burn, and we very handily took the second game. I think we may need a stronger sideboard plan against burn decks. There are multiple 1-card hosers for burn that are legal in Pauper. And this looks suspiciously like it's going to be lethal. Okay, goodbye, Keldon Marauders. And double bolt to face. GG's opponent. Yeah, we saw it coming. Yeah, so I think if we're going to be seeing burn that often, we need a stronger sideboard plan against it. All right, looks like we found our next match. And we are on the play. Not a keepable hand. This looks good. Let's hope our opponent's a creature deck, because we are packing Skreds today. Shifting a Skred just in case we have to bolt a turn 1 Delver. Interesting. I don't think this changes the line. We're going to go Burning Tree Emissary into Foretold Packmate. And then next turn we can slam Packmate, maybe find the 3rd land, and Rancor or Bolt. I'm trying to think of what deck would want the start that we're witnessing right now, and I'm not coming up with a lot of answers. Oh, this is red white Boros Monarch. So this is going to be running. I'm forgetting the name of the card right now, but it's a 2/2 hawk that you have to bounce an artifact to your hand. They're also running the Galvanic Blast, which is sort of just a better lightning bolt if you control enough artifacts. So key in this matchup is normally getting rid of the Prophetic Prism. I'm going to go ahead and just put the Rancor on the Burning Tree Emissary, get in for extra damage. I don't think they deploy hasty threats, so I don't think holding up mana for Bolt or Skred is that important. Yeah, Glint Hawk. This is what I was thinking of. So typically their game plan for this deck is to repeatedly play the Prism for card advantage. I'm just going to Skred this. So the card he has that I'm scared of is Prismatic Strands. We're going to have a difficult time winning against a multiple Prismatic Strands turn. Going to name creature here. And mostly just lost lands. We have our opponent on a pretty fast clock. We're hitting him for 7 a turn. I respect that play. Would have loved to have drawn that Lead the Stampede, but that's one of the things that you have to deal with when you're playing a Winding Way deck. Sometimes you mill over the card you want. Okay, there's Prism again. Thraben Inspector. Not too worried about Thraben Inspector. Don't like to see that. I'm just going to Skred the Glint Hawk here. And then we have to somehow get him on the back foot with this Guardian of the Guild Pact. So if we swing now with this board, can we get within bolt range? I don't think the answer is yes, but I also don't think the answer is waiting. So I'm just going to swing out. Or at least with the Burning Tree Emissary. Offer a trade here with Guardian of the Guild Pact. Okay, almost in bolt range. There's that Prophetic Prism card advantage I was talking about. Don't love to see the Skyfisher. So what I suspect is going to happen, though, is he's going to block Burning Tree Emissary on the Skyfisher when I swing out here. Oh, or he can just die. I'll give him the respect of swinging out first. No Prismatic Strands in the yard. And we are going to eat his artifacts with Gorilla Shaman. Fine by us. And good game opponent. Definitely like the bolts. Definitely like the cannonades. The only thing this doesn't kill in their whole deck is that Guardian of the Guild Pact. I think I want some Flaring Pains. And I think I want Gorilla Shamans. So we're taking out. They have flyers, so Commodore kind of works against us here. Because we know they're going to be deploying a lot of flying threats. I also think we're a faster deck than them, as we just showcased last game. I don't think we saw anything. So they have Thraben Inspector, they have Glinthawk, they have Core Skyfisher. All of those die to Bolt. Skyfisher notably doesn't die to Cannonade. I think this list also runs Squadron Hawks. I'm not totally sure though. So Commodore out, Cannonade in. I think I'm going to do Kurt Ape out, Gorilla Shaman in. So if we can hate them off with some artifact lands, I think we're so heavily favored. And all their stuff flies. I'm going to cut the Skreds for the Gorilla Shamans since we're bringing in Cannonades. And Bolt hits all of their stuff anyways. And I think I want one Flaring Pain. I think what I'm going to do is cut one Packmate for one Flaring Pain. Let's try running it like this. Leave the Stampede for Flaring Pain. Final answer. It's too late. We hit submit. This hand looks like gas. Even better. I like leading on Highland Forest here. And then next turn we can bring Tremissary into Gorilla Shaman and Wild Nacatl. Ooh, that artifact land. I can also just Burning Tree Emissary into Gorilla Shaman and blow up the land. I kind of like that play. Let's do that. Why are we playing Gorilla Shaman if we're not going to blow up lands? I'm assuming this is a Bolt for the Shaman. Yep. So I think that was timed quite well, actually. Ooh, Garrison keeping them on their land drops. Nice. Glad I kept in the Kurt Apes. And here's a 3-3. And here's a 2-3. Wow, opponent just kept a very removal heavy hand. We do have Hooting Mandrills online. We're very much so just 1-for-1 with our opponent right now. Okay, don't care about the Glinthawk. Interesting play. Do they main deck those, or did he sideboard in Bajuka Bogs? No real plays this turn, which I'm not excited about. But we do have a bigger board state. And if he kills anything, we just replace it with a Hooting Mandrills. Okay. So the good news is they haven't once held up Strand's mana. Also, I think I stand corrected. I think the name of this deck is Mardu Monarch. Not a land. Good to see you, Nacatl. I think we still have the beat down, so I'm going to keep turning sideways. That's expected. Let's make sure we get that Glint Hawk off the board. Okay, and then probably should have swung and then played Hooting Mandrills after he assigned blockers, rather than running at the Nacatl. A little bit of a misplay on my part. Yeah, the ability of being able to dig using these Glint Hawks and Core Skyfisher effects by picking up artifacts is, I think, quite fascinating. About to say, not sure what he has that costs 5. I expect a Strands next turn. Skyfisher. Well, when your friends tell you white's bad in Magic, just point them to my opponent's board state right now and ask them again. Ooh, Kennedy is very good here. Kennedy kills everything with Skyfisher. That's the game plan. I'm not even going to wait for blockers. I'm just going to pop it off. Yeah, because he can't prevent this. And then he gets to trade Skyfisher with something if he wants. Down to 2 life. He's in bolt range. He's lucky that we're not holding the bolt. We don't have it in the bag yet, but I think this win is looking pretty good. Interesting. I'm surprised he's digging. I'm surprised he's not just... If he has a creature or removal spell, he has to play it now. Oh, he could be leaving up Strands mana, in which case I'm going to feel like a bad person. Let's get our other Hooting Mandrills down, see if this can bait a response. If he has a bolt... Yeah, we're obviously not getting there. Palace Sentinels, nice. So that can block a Hooting Mandrills for a turn. At this point, we're really looking for Lightning Bolt off the top. Winding Wave probably also gets there. Okay, and we are not taking the Monarch anytime soon. Okay, there's a Winding Way. Give me the goods. Rage Hound and Valley ran it, huh? So I can just slam Valley ran as a creature next turn, so that's going to be the primary game plan. And we can trade off on most of his board with his Hooting Mandrills. Happy with this play. Opponent still at 2 life, Flaring Pain in hand. And he's proactively trying to establish a board state, so he's not holding up enough mana to Strands. And there's no Strands in the yard. That is a good spell in this particular circumstance. Another Skyfisher. He did an impressive job of hitting all his land drops despite the Corolla Shaman sniping that first Ancient Den. Okay, we don't have a board anymore. So we need double bolt to get there. I like Burning Tree Emissary. Let's do that. And then we get to hardcast the Valerie in it. Rather than just using it to cycle for lands. Big 6/3 on the board. Guardian of the Guild Pact, effectively having no text other than 4 mana 2/3 with my creatures currently on board. Tight matchup. Probably dead to getting smacked by Skyfishers. Don't mill bolts. Mill the Skred. Not much of a hit there. I think I'd rather swing with this and just get rid of some of his blockers, assuming he has to block with at least 2 creatures to kill it. Okay, more or less what we expected. Tight race. Opponents' lands are going off the edge of the board now. Another Guardian of the Guild Pact. Certainly don't want to see it. He's done a really impressive job of getting us sort of back on our back foot despite what was a really aggressive early start. He was at 2 life at one point. We have multiple hits that still swing this pretty heavily in our favor. I don't think a bolt is what we want anymore. I think I want a lead the Stampede. Not sure if I sided those out or not. Don't think so. There's all those incidental life gain lands. Okay, I think whether or not we win or lose is now based on the next 2 top decks. We need to draw something that's at least as much card advantage as Reaping the Graves, which seems like a big ask. Yeah, not being able to take back the Monarch feels bad. Not that we could have kept it. Okay, it's a Skred. That does kill the Skyfisher. Doesn't deal with the Guardians of the Guild Pact. And we haven't seen a Strands, so I'm starting to wonder if the Flaring Pain was the right choice. So I think he's been playing this same Prophetic Prism this whole game. Oh, no, okay, there's 3. But it is worth noting that often how you beat this deck is you just blow up their Prophetic Prism. That's a lot of hits. Oh, wow. A flight of core skyfishers. And their board is no longer soft to cannonade. I wonder if the cannonade was the wrong play. That might have been our turning point for the worse. I think we had a choice to cannonade or play Hooting Mandrills, and we chose the cannonade. Yeah, he's almost at 20 life. That's insane. There's the bolt we needed a long time ago. Yeah, that's the amount of card advantage he's getting out of the prophetic prisms is insane. Okay, he has 10, so he's just flexing. Let's go ahead and scoop this. Reaping the Graves was a good play, but I don't think with the Fairy Macabres. I also don't think I want Weather the Storm. I think our best bet is to apply a lot of early pressure and close out the game quickly. I do want the Gorilla Shamans. I do want the Skreds. Honestly, not even sure if or what he sideboarded against us. Flowing Pain wasn't relevant, but there were at least 2 cards in opponent's hand that he could have been holding the whole time that we didn't see. So there's an off chance that one of those cards that he was holding was the Prismatic Strands. Still like Gorilla Shaman. Now we know that we have to share the save the Gorilla Shaman, not for the lands, but for the prophetic prisms. Raychan seems worse in the Bajuka Bog heavy matchup. Valorant it did do work. I think our best bet is to slam early Nacatls and Curt Apes. Let's go no Flaring Pain. And let's go, I think, no Valley ran it. One of each. A Skred and a Valley ran it. Let's run it like this. Seems like a pretty fast start. Don't like the double Hooting Mandrills. Don't want to shift it, though. Let's just run it. We know our play lines here. We've done this hand before. Do love to see a tapped land. Do I pack mate or Winding Way? I like pack mating. I don't want a Winding Way naming land. I think one more draw will tell us if we need to do that or not. Oh. Curdape. I think I want to get down my Packmate. And then, based on the draw of the Packmate, next turn we're probably going to Winding Way for land. Unless we hit a land grant. In which case I'm getting our Dual Forest. Pair of 3/3s on the board feels good. He does have 8 cards in hand, which is insane to think about. We're not mana screwed, which is an early game consideration. I think plan next turn is to Curdape Winding Way. Depends on what he plays. If this is a Skyfisher, bounce the clue. No, it's a Bolt. Bolt Glinthawk. That's effectively the same thing as Skyfisher, bounce the clue. Okay, there's a land. So I think now I want a Winding Way naming creature. See what we see. Okay, lost a Skred and 2 lands. That's fine. So now I can Nacatl Bolt. Or just Curdape Nacatl Swing. Glinthawk does die to Cannonade. We can also Hooting Mandrills. That's probably correct. Let's get the Mandrills out. And let's see if he offers the trade. Because we do have a redundant piece for this card. Okay, he's just going to take it. He's going to 4 mana next turn. We're not soft to board wipes. 5 cards in hand. I'm going to Curdape here. We just have so much power toughness on the board right now. I think it's going to be difficult for him to keep pace with it. And we're presenting just as much next turn. Glinthawk is such a powerful effect for all the hoops it makes you jump through. 1 mana flying 2/2. White Delver of Secrets, right? Except you can't turn 1 it. I'm glad I saved the Bolt. I would much rather Bolt a Skyfisher. So I can Bolt Skyfisher, play Mandrills. This deck is such pure magic. It is just removal and cheap threats. Definitely the flyer first. And then I can play both. So then we're Hellbent. But we have one heck of a board. And 2 Trampling Mandrills, which I think our opponent's going to have a hard time answering. Alright, your go. Let's see it, opponent. We know he doesn't have any board wipes that can hit us. The mileage he's getting out of these Lone Missionaries is amazing. Just a land. I don't see a reason to hold the land in hand. I'd rather just have it on board. And we are now playing the easiest game of Magic. We are big turning sideways. Kind of weird, but I actually think I want the Visionary on the board. because then he can't reanimate it. Opponent goes to 1. So he can Skyfisher Missionary here. Which I don't think gets him out of the woods. Top decking a Bolt would be absolute gas. Okay, so we are going to see the Prismatic Strands. He has to block and Strands. Yep, there it is. And I don't see a reason why I wouldn't just run this out. And let's hope his hand isn't just multiple more Prismatic Strands. It does look like he's stuck on 3 lands, which is promising. Interesting play. Blast. Okay, so that's a concession. Yep. What a game. That middle round was just blistering. I can't believe we got them within 2 life and they gained all the way back up to 20. And so far, we have pretty solid victories, honestly. Very much so ahead the whole game against both Dimir Faeries and Boros Monarch, Mardu Monarch. So it has to be Mardu Monarch because we saw the Reaping the Graves. Yeah, this has been a great series so far. And we're back for the final match on the draw. And our opponent played some Treasure Chest. And this is a pretty fire hand, so I think our primary play line is going to be to turbo at the Rage Hound. We'll see. Yeah, turn 1 Card Ape, turn 2 Burning Tree Emissary. And he is on Tron. I have not played against Tron many times. I do know that those Flaring Pains are going to become important. And that's blue and green, so he's also on Fogtron, confirmed. I really think I just want to put as much damage as possible on the board as fast as possible. Looks like we're going to be hitting all our land drops. Don't need the pack mate yet. He can come in late game. Wish we had wild Nacatls here. Need to be aware of prohibits. Okay, just the ornament. No counter spells yet. These emissaries are looking awesome. What do we want here? Probably our 3rd land color, right? Okay, swinging in for 7. And he could just be dead in 2 turns, but he's also on Tron, so there's a very good chance he's not. Yep, there's the Tron lands. Guys, we did it. We're playing as the Boogeyman. And I foresee a fog in our future. So let's just go ahead and swing. We're either getting in for 9 or 0. I'm expecting 0. All right, let's see it. Okay, damage is being prevented for at least 2 more turns. And that's why we have Flaring Pains in the sideboard. One in hand would be ending the game basically on the spot right now. And frankly, hard to imagine us having a faster start than we did. Board is a little soft to Cannonade. He's just drawing cards. Interesting choice. So now he can't flash back Moment's Peace. He must have another one in hand. Oh, now I can. We're just going to make sure he has it every turn. No sense in not forcing him to have it. So the reason this deck's called Tron, if you're not familiar, is because Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant, and Urza's Tower, when all 3 lands are on the battlefield together, tap for a collective 7 mana instead of 3. And the effect was so powerful that people felt like they were playing against a well-oiled machine. It's a very popular deck in almost every format where it's legal. So people Tron in Legacy, people Tron in Modern, and people Tron in Pauper. So he has to have a fog effect again or he's going to lose. But he hasn't conceded, which implies that he has it. Not sure what his win con is. I think it's Slam Mole Drifters for the win. This deck is just able to produce so much mana. Embonner's Ornament was pretty much the nail in the coffin against decks trying to beat Tron. Right, because those 2 lands just made 4 mana, and they really don't matter to him. Here's a Mole Drifter. Nope, Mnemonic Wall. Okay, so he's Mnemonic Walling Moment's Peace. Which means we have at least 3 more turns of Moment's Peace to deal with. Like the Skred. So this is Flickertron, so he also does have Flicker effects, which are something we need to be aware of. He can't Fog and Flicker, so I'm going to go ahead and swing in anyways. Pyroblast seems good. Flaring Pain definitely seems good. So he can still prohibit this Skred, but I'm going to go for it. I don't think he's ever going to tap out more than this. Okay, that did resolve. Interesting. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do this Winding Way. Another Winding Way. Have we seen all 4? No, 3 of them. Hate the Pulse. And let's try and pull something out of a hat here. I don't think we have anything main deck that really beats him. Mandrills is good. Lost a Bolt. So we're probably just locked out of this game at this point. But I do want to finish it out. If for no other purpose than just to run down their clock. They're a very quote-unquote dirtily deck. It can take them a long time to win. And also, look at this board we're presenting. Like, what deck other than Tron, Fog Tron specifically, is winning against this? I've heard a lot of folks advocating to ban Tron lands out of the format. I would like to see this card go. In a format that's almost entirely focused on attacking and killing your opponent with creatures, having an effect that just fogs your opponent out of the game, that's, really so affordable. There have been a number of decks throughout time that have been centered around Moment's Peace. Because every other thing that he's doing here is held together by Moment's Peace. Moment's Peace in the the Rhino that denies you your combat step. Dinrovahor, nice. Well, we are definitely discarding whatever creature he bounces. Goodbye, Mandrills. So we have almost successfully gotten rid of the fog effects. Yeah, I really don't think we're going to be able to have any path to win this game. Okay. Unwind. Okay, so he's counterspelling this. And Unwind gives him enough mana still for Moment's Peace. So we're still going to see that. Okay, he wants the Monarch. I guess that's our other path to victory, is he mills himself. I'm just going to pass through his turn. We're not doing any meaningful interactions here. I'm assuming he's getting Rolling Thunder at some point. Ghostly Flicker, okay. Yeah, I haven't counted his mana, but I'm thinking he's in Rolling Thunder range. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 17. Yeah, so we're almost in Rolling Thunder range. No opponent. I get to be the Monarch. Okay, now we're flicker looping. I think Nacatl's got to go. Okay, he's actually letting some damage get in, which is interesting. I guess because he can still just flicker loop. Yeah. Okay, and it looks like our board's going to get machine gunned away here. Okay, I will now scoop this up. Let's go to game 2. What do we have for him? Flaring Pain is the big one. Flaring Pain and Pyroblast. Shaman gets us somewhere, but it's so mana hungry for us to blow up his artifacts. That's a maybe. And then Fairy Macabre does stop a flicker loop. So it's worth looking at. I think we really just need to kill him very, very quickly in the first several turns of the game. I don't think we have any staying power against his deck. He's going to outgrind us no matter what. So I'm just going to cut any of the more long-term plan cards and keep our creatures that turn sideways. Skred is sort of medium. I'd rather have the Flaring Pains. These are effectively lands. Power Blast mostly because I expect him to bring in Hydroblasts. I think 2 of the Packmates. Or let's go. Yeah, let's go with Lead the Stampedes. If we're at a point where we're casting Lead the Stampede, we've probably already lost. Okay, let's run it like this. I hope that Flaring Pain can shut the door on this Tron playing opponent. Okay, this is a fine hand. So we can turn to drawing no other lands. Burning Tree Emissary into Ragehound, and then Nacatl the following turn. Getting a little atmospheric noise from the traffic outside. Like a second Gorilla Shaman, not sure if it's where we want to be. I'm glad that we're not revealing Flaring Pain. And I think I want to start laying on the pain, so I'm just going to get basic forest. And let's go Burning Tree Emissary, Ragehound, and then this does present a 4-turn clock with its 5 power. Okay, expected the Prism. Love to see the Flaring Pain. And he is not going to be able to fog us yet. Okay, can't Gorilla Shaman him off of that. I will Nacatl, and then Gorilla Shaman. Just to get some extra power toughness down while it's still relevant. Okay, there's the Tron lands. Another Prism. So blowing up the first Prism, probably not relevant. And then my guess is now is when he wants to start fogging us. Okay, he's going to cast down instead. Interesting. I'm fine with that. A little torn on what to do here. Playing Curd Ape might shut the door. And is a pretty aggressive play line. Starless Packmate can maybe draw us another land, which I like. But there's a good chance I'm not even playing it next turn. So yeah, I'm just going to Curd Ape here. Are we prohibiting Curd Ape? Yes, we are. All right. No monkey for me. Remember that we cut our higher CMC spells for Gorilla Shaman, so it is... Wow. Okay, that resolves. Oh, fair enough. We don't need the second Shaman, right? Getting more and more difficult to imagine a play line where we're winning this game. I think the correct thing here is just to turn the board sideways as much as we can. So what we have done today is played against the two best decks of the old Pauper. Because we're playing against Flickertron and Burn. Which fight on completely different axes. Yeah, we need a Fairy Macabre here and we do not have it. Never quite hit enough mana for Gorilla Shaman to be relevant. Yeah, and it's not even worth swinging now. There is a world here where he just has a bad hand, and we're still able to pull something off. But the turn 5 hardcast Muldrifter makes that a little bit more difficult to believe. And yeah, here's the power of Tron here. So look how much mana he's holding up. He just hardcast a Muldrifter, hardcast an Impulse, and he's still holding up. He's still holding up. I think this is 4 mana. Yeah, 4 mana. So the good news is he's not killing us this turn. The bad news is we're also not killing him this turn. Okay, and if he gets the flicker, then that's game. Yeah, I'm just going to close it out now. So what we're about to face is now we have to bounce our whole board and discard cards. We don't have a win path beyond that. Okay, so reasonable league. So we clearly need to have a little bit more shored up of a sideboard plan against Tron in particular and against Burn, which are admittedly widely regarded as two of the most difficult decks to play against in the format. The only thing that's really winning reliably against Tron from what I've seen is the Faeries lists, which just pack so much counter magic that they're able to stop a lot of what Tron's trying to do through its ghostly flickers and its prohibits. They can sort of shut them out of the game just through the sheer amount of card advantage. Plus, the Ninja is uncounterable, and that's their primary card advantage engine. Burn, not as much of a player anymore after the printing of Weather the Storm. I think because a lot of people are opting not to play Burn because they're a little frustrated that there's a single card sideboard hoser that just shuts the door against them. I think our blue matchup is pretty strong without the Pyroblasts. And I think the Flaring Pains are good, but not getting 100% to where we need to beat Tron. A lot of players are just bringing in, Cleansing Wildfire, which is non-basic land hate. And that may be more in the direction of where we need this deck to go. Gorilla Shaman was a little disappointing in all of our matchups, and I imagine we'd experience a similar thing if we were playing against Affinity, which is typically what this card is brought in for. Because we do have creatures that can trade with Affinity's bigger threats in Hooting Mandrills. We can do things like swing with a Underworld Ragehound and then bolt their Mirror Enforcer. And Mirror Enforcer is really the only card that we care about in the Affinity list to begin with. And yeah, I think it's debatable whether or not Fairy Macabre is needed. Although this would have been a shutout last game, this game it didn't do a whole lot. Yeah, but so this is the list. I hope you enjoyed the league. Hope you enjoyed what I thought were two really good games, and then two showcases of why other decks are the best deck in the format, not our Wild Nacatl Curdabe list. Looking forward to tinkering with this list in the future, and I hope everyone has a great day.